Fior Messiverno, huh? Guess if you're looking for an Animancer, that's the place to go. Take everything you know about forests and make it 100 times more aggressive. I've led a few people there from Paradise or Thirdborn, and I've almost lost someone on every trip.
Someone's slipping.
I said, almost. Just glad I can help. Right, changing the subject.
The armored mask. We dream of steel and charred earth and flame. The memory binds. Flee from her. We fear. For us. For you. Blazing ire. It burns and feeds upon itself. Pain through the smoke, we recall. You are not safe with her. We reach. The spines tear into us. We pull our hands away. But the old scars do not lie. We burned once. Burned. We know. A storm from the same spark. All pain cuts with the same blade. Steer clear of the scourging fire, or extinguish it. No recourse but teeth. The flame spreads toward the garden wall. Listen. Have care. Have care.
Poor guy. Didn't even stand a chance.
Looks like there's a note. Something doesn't feel right here. Never has.
Hold a moment. They tell me you're going to Emerald Stair. Business or pleasure? Well, just remember to cover your mouth, sneeze into your elbow, and sleep with lavender under your pillow. Fair warning, Envoy. Before you showed up, Inquisitor Ludwine barged past me. She was looking none too pleased. That'd be my guess as well, though it could be anything. She seemed to have a lot on her mind. Anyway, I thought you should know Ludwine's on the prowl. Tread lightly.
So Ludwine's somewhere out there doing who knows what. Wonderful.
Hopefully, your handling of Egwolf brought us some grace with her.
You're cleared to pass, Envoy.
And Sam's sad to be leaving Paradise. I had no idea how tense things were with the Adirans moving in.
And Egwolf's death won't help matters.
Either way, you're safer with him gone.
Regardless, the Steel Garrote will see this as an excuse to crack down. I get the feeling they've been looking for one.
Steel Garrote? I figured they're just more intense Adiran soldiers.
They'll have their work cut out for them here. About half the people who come to the Living Lands are fugitives or exiles from something.
I don't like that Ludwine woman. She gives me the vrikas.
Yeah, I've seen floggings gentler than the scolding she gave Hilgard. One's tacking when the other's jibing, if you catch my drift. And that's gonna mean trouble for everyone around them before long.
And it's a good thing we're getting out of the city.
Yeah. Much as Liviana misses our company, I wouldn't count on your mysterious friend reviving you a second time.
Are you listening to that friend when you go all blank-eyed from time to time? Does your special friend talk to you? I mean, I had an imaginary friend when I was little, but they never brought me back from the dead.
He means that with all due professional respect, of course.
How do you know this friend doesn't mean us any harm? Unless they have their own use for you. That's what's giving me the shakes.
We're headed to Fior Messi Verno to see if the Animancers know anything about the Dream Scourge, right? Maybe we'll learn something about your condition in the process.
Right. When it comes time to deal with Animancers, you two are on your own.
Most fun things are.
They could stand around and have scholarly debates about souls all they want. Gives me a great opportunity to take a nap.
I haven't been back in a while, but Fior is an interesting place. It was founded about 50 years ago by a disgraced Valian duke and a handful of Animancers who'd soured on politics in the republics.
Town full of nobles, scholars, and leeches. All surviving off the work of the farmers who grow food for the whole island. Right. You know, present company excluded, and all that.
Don't take it personally. Marius only does this with people he likes.
I'd say something back at you, but I'm just not feeling it for some reason.
See what I mean? It turns out that academics are as ungovernable as the rest of us rabble.
They don't understand what they're messing with. They can't tame the wilds with machinery.
They've held it at bay until recently. Their ingenuity, or madness, or heresy, take your pick, has fed a lot of people in the Living Lands. But Rumor has it, some unnatural blight is destroying their crops. We'll find out soon enough. And while we're in Emerald Stair, there's something I've been putting off. An old friend from my time in Thirdborn had a cabin out in the woods. Tama. He passed a while ago, but he left something for me that I never got around to picking up. But since we'll be in Emerald Stair anyway... You won't regret it. Emerald Stair's lovely this time of year. Even the Delimgon bloom.
No matter what I tell you, you keep picking flowers from things that want to kill you.
Hey, they love me. You just gotta ask nicely. Compliment their foliage.
Right. Maybe buy them a drink before they choke you to death with vines. This is the Living Lands. Getting out of bed in the morning gets complicated.
You and I have quite the adventure ahead of us, Envoy.
I have, things to do back in Paradise. It keeps me plenty busy.
Come to think of it, I haven't been to Emerald Stair in a while, and the Envoy's never been. Know any good guides we could hire?
None that could help the two of you. You need the best guide in the lands to keep you from getting yourselves killed.
Yeah. Who else is going to show us which mushrooms we can eat and which ones want to eat us?
Now that you mention it, you're gonna need my help if you're traveling through the lands with this Nimdude. I have 2 rules. No campfire songs and no hugs. That last one's non-negotiable.
I hear wiggle room on the singing.
If we're done being ridiculous, we should get some rest. We'll be in Emerald Stair tomorrow.
Good to have you with us, Marius.
Right. Go to bed before you violate the hugging rule.
Would you be a dear and help me forward, please? Don't get too comfortable. More are on the way.
Then rock!
Time to wrap.
Be on seek. Earth and rock!
Oh, fantastic. People. I was about to lose my wits.
A mind's question. The dust of the Akita in her hair. She knocks. We would answer.
You wouldn't happen to have a ladder on hand, would you? To climb, of course.
You're welcome to my shoulders.
There's a godless artifact just out of reach, and I must have it. But perhaps we don't need one. You're tall, striking, and well-toned. Well, I'm not surprised you don't know of the Godless. But they were here in the Living Lands long before we were. Long before anyone else, as far as I can tell. Give or take a few thousand years. They lived on every corner of the lands. You must have passed a few of their ruins on the way here. The big ones, with spires that look more than a little phallic. A lot of their structures were embedded in the ground. They lived in harmony with the land. I mean, as much as you can live in harmony with a land actively trying to kill you. Maybe it was nicer back then. 30 years of research, and as far as I can tell, they just upped and disappeared one day. Fascinating, right? Well, what's important is that the vase is within my grasp, now that I've a tall, dark, and handsome stranger to help. There's a vase in this ruin that's too high for me to reach. Fetch it for me. I can pay you in skates if you do. The vase sits atop that tower beside us, in the ruins there. And once you've got it, look me up. Yatsley, wizard extraordinaire, godless expert, and a Balrog in the bedroom.
You do meet the most interesting people.
I can get you 1,000 faces that don't require going into some ancient ruins. No one listens to me.
Darling, you are aware I can see you digging through my things, aren't you?
Don't die. Then raw.
Glad that's over.
Andra's titties, you found it! I tried using magic to get the vase down, but alas. Thankfully, you and your little friends came along and saved the day.
Excuse me. We're all bigger than you are, Nimdude.
I may be small, but my magic is not, I assure you. Oh, trust me, my love Quilici has told me so many times, but I cannot resist. How could I ignore a vase like this? Think of all the secrets and memories it holds. Just one, and I didn't find it. But that's a story for another time. But I'd best pack up. I want to get home. I have a new artifact to study. Thank you for your help, Godlike. Even if you didn't have a ladder.
That's something I hope never happens again.
I've got a few inches to spare if she changes her mind.
You told us
Yeah,
that
people weren't
Animancy
hungry
would save
enough.
our crops, and now look, spoiled on the vine. Zarips won't even touch them.
Animancy is a process. We're talking about a delicate metaphysical ecosystem.
Machines everywhere, and none of them are doing a lick of good.
Be patient and things will get better, I promise.
You're the first godlike to come through in... well, I can't remember how long. I hope that's a good sign. Some believe the gods have abandoned Emerald Stair, and yet here I am talking to one of their offspring. If the gods don't bless us with a harvest soon, this market will be empty come winter. You'd think so, but they don't approve of Animancy. Something about undead farmhands makes them nervous. They still buy our crops, mind you, when the harvest's good.
What do you mean that's all you've got? Last week you said there'd be grain.
I know what I said, but we only have so much to go around.
Are the Animancers starving as well, Or are they sipping tea?
Take it up with the governor. I don't
No
make
cutting
rules.
in line. I was
Go
here first.
home. Lay traps in the woods and pray for game. I can't help you.
We know you're stashing the grain.
Another late harvest.
Well,
How do they expect me to feed my family? Last season, we were lining up all the way to the river. But at least there was enough food for everyone.
Times are hard.
the crops are coming up wrong.
It's not just the market either. Emerald Stair might as well be a graveyard. Animancers are supposed to work miracles on these lands. But what good are miracles if we're starving? Of course, you've seen miracles godlike. The gods don't care for the likes of us. Animancers gave us these farms. If the harvest doesn't come, they'll be the ones who pay. We're not worried about biting the hand that feeds us anymore, now that we know it's empty.
An empty hand can still slap the soccer out of you.
Word of advice, Outlander. Don't tarry in Emerald Stair. Not if you value your life.
Godlike.
Hand in hand, they toil, and the earth gives in return. The smile of the harvest.
I really don't think you can deny that everything wrong in Fjord obviously comes from using Animancy.
We don't use Animancy on our farms in Dawnshore, and our forests aren't trying to kill us.
I don't know what you want from me. The other Animancers and I are just doing the best we can to survive.
Fjord will be better able to survive if they accept help from the adherents.
The adherents have already made great strides in bringing order to Paradise.
I just want to go home without being harassed. Do you think they'd notice if I just sneak away?
How else will they learn if we don't tell them how things should be?
What happens when this madness spreads to Dawnshore?
You showed up at a bad time. Word of advice, give a wide berth to the governor's manor. Giatta's about to tear that poor man a new one. One of our animancers. She's bright as a spark, but a mite confrontational. She came storming up the hill with a wheelbarrow full of spoiled crops. Then the shouting started.
Animancers fighting? This I have to see.
This isn't the first time Giatta's put the governor in his place, but it might be the last. Not well, apparently. Giatta says it's infected the farms, and every day it gets harder to doubt her.
Just take a blessed day look outside. Doesn't take a genius to see this place is rolling downhill.
The governor's manor is on the far side of town. You can't miss it. Just follow the sound of foul language.
I was hoping to learn some local curses.
Looking forward to seeing what it looks like when Animancers fight.
Ah, the Emperor's envoy. Come to interfere in Steel Garrote business again? Remedy is apology. Stay out of Steel Garrote business and all will be forgiven. If you're here to speak with Vidaro, I'm afraid you'll find the governor is quite beyond reason. These Valians and their love of Animancy. While they theorize and do nothing, the sickness spreads. But worry not, envoy. The Steel Garrote will be ready to ensure the safety of Adheran interests when the time comes. We all have our part to play, envoy. Until later.
She's as subtle as a broadside.
Does subtle mean something different outside of Solace?
Genuine healing crystals, purest in all of Eora.
Shiata, what's the meaning of this?
Look at these crops. Look at your city. The Dream Scourge is laying waste to our home.
There is no Dream Scourge in Emerald Stair.
The land begs to differ, and I can prove it.
We can discuss this in private.
We are discussing it now. How can you ignore what's right in front of you? The Dream Scourge is here, in the soil, and it's killing us. Oh my goodness. Are you a godlike? Charmed. Forgive me for staring. It's just, we don't see many of your kind anymore.
Maybe you can talk some sense into our governor. Put the fear of the gods in him.
Seems more likely you'll have to punch some sense into him.
Excuse me, but unless you have official business, I'll thank you not to involve yourself in our private discussion. Ah, of course. The Adiran envoy. Ambassador Hilgard sent a missive telling me to expect you. How delightful. You speak with a measure of authority, but I caution you to remember who's in charge around here.
Now that's what I call a first impression. As you can see, I was just proving a point to our esteemed governor.
A cart full of spoiled vegetables. You call that a point?
Ha! Emerald Stair used to be a lush garden for miles around, and now I don't even recognize it. First came the invasive species, roots and mycelium growing overnight, as though nature itself had gone mad. The Dream Scourge has twisted our lands, our wildlife, and now, our farms. Then there's no time to waste arguing with bureaucrats.
I like her already.
I believe that we can restore the land, bring back its soul and its sanity, cut off the Dream Scourge at the root. Our governor would rather ignore the problem. He doesn't trust Animancy as his father did.
Thank you. It's good to see some sense around here for once.
The time for caution has passed. The failure of our crops will demand swift action.
Before we can deal with the Dream Scourge, we first need to understand it. Unfortunately, new experiments have to go through him.
Once again, bureaucracy stands in the way of getting things done.
I'm just trying to stop Chiata from hurting herself. Animancy is dangerous when you're shooting in the dark. You must be unfamiliar with Animancy. There's always collateral damage. Are you going to tell him about your family's basement? Or should I?
How dare you use that against me?
I know it was an accident, but look what it cost you. We can't let it happen again.
While we argue among ourselves, the Dream Scourge is tearing the living lands apart. Tearing our people apart. It's nothing. Our governor is backed into a corner and lashing out. I almost respect him for it. Buy me a drink sometime, and I'll tell you all about my family's basement. I thought you'd never ask. Well, Governor, Looks like I'm taking some time away from my duties. I'll trouble you no more.
Your request is denied, Giatta.
I wasn't asking.
Your responsibilities are to the settlement. Turning away from them sets a precedent that I cannot allow.
Everything I have proposed has been for Fior, and you still refuse to cooperate. Under the circumstances, I don't have much of a choice.
Then neither do I. Giatta Castel, from this day forth, you are banished from Fior Messiverno.
Whoa, you're banishing her for that?
What?
Ignacy, we can't lose our brightest Animancer in the middle of a crisis.
Your pupil has gone too far, Quilici. Take her and leave. You're still a guest in my town, but to us, Giatta is an outcast. Perhaps, but I can't just let her continue to poison the minds of my Animancers.
They aren't your Animancers. Your father understood that.
Don't bother, old man. He isn't his father. I've done all I can for Fior Messiverno. But you haven't even tried. Now limp back to your giant house like a good dog. We should talk somewhere private. Meet me at my house due west, by the workshop.
Another mouth to feed. Maybe we'll need to let Kai hunt more after all.
That did not go as I had planned.
What did you think would happen when you confronted him so?
Well, my first idea was to mess up his house. Maybe break a window or two.
Perhaps I should thank you for showing restraint.
I'm sorry you had to see that. What an asshole.
Giatta, some manners, if you please.
Why start now?
We're on the verge of extinction, but our governor is too busy protecting his fragile ego. Because they're cowards. To them, I'm just a cautionary tale. A fallen Animancer.
You did challenge his authority.
I know, but... curses. Without Fior Messiverno, I'm hardly even an Animancer. My tools, the workshop, all gone. We'll have fewer resources to work with, but anything's possible. At least now I'm free to study whatever I want, on my terms. The Dream Scourge has been a thorn in my side for too long. I have plans for this island, and they don't involve the Dream Scourge. But that's a story for another day.
Your parents would be proud to see such tenacity.
Anyway, listen to us babble. Let's talk about you. I never expected to see an Adiran envoy here. You've got a lot of guts showing your face in a town full of Animancers. How generous of you. Our first order of business is the Dream Scourge, but I'm also curious about you. There aren't many godlike left these days. Indeed. Some of my colleagues would fight me for the opportunity to study you. I only bring it up because Animancy might offer us some insight into your nature. Keep an open mind. While I pack up my belongings, you can help me by... Of course. Excuse me, it's been a long day. When it comes to the Dream Scourge, we haven't been allowed to acknowledge the problem, much less act on a solution. Today, that changes. I need help from the Animancers around town, but as you can see, I'm an outcast. Don't worry. Ignacy can't banish us all. Manto Pastor is in the workshop due west. He's got an invention that can help us. Elia Rossell is an authority on the undead. Her methods are controversial, but useful. She lives in a cottage southeast of town. And then there's Yvette and Remy, our philosophers. You'll find them at the docks, southeast of Fjord. Each of them owes me a favor. Drop my name, and they'll tell you what they know about the Dream Scourge. I'd rather not speculate until we have more data. If you have questions, I'm sure the others can answer them. We're about to make history. But first, research.
Guessing she's not much of a hunter. Might want to get extra rations next time we go shopping.
Godlike, Imperial Envoy, Research Assistant. Who knew?
Careful, or we'll get thrown out of the pub.
We're already thrown out.
Really? Huh. And when did that happen?
Can't say as I remember.
You, my friend, need some water.